What is a SQL or SQL? I'm just kidding. We are talking about sales qualified leads for your MSP. And realistically, what's the difference between a SQL versus a MQL, which is a marketing qualified lead? And I'm going to share with you guys the process through this and why it's really important, because if you have SQLs, you can really make a lot of money and bring in new customers for your MSP. My name is Harrison Barron from growth-generators.com. We help MSPs grow, whether that's sales training, marketing, or even business operations. And as you can see, I am helping an MSP who has reached out to me from YouTube in the local area of Alabama. That's a whole state, obviously, but I will be recording more than likely a video from their office. So I want to say thank you, because I know they do watch the channel, and for having me, because it's been a real joy. It's been a pretty chaotic day today, but looking forward to some massive progress tomorrow. Now, if you're an MSP and you want to either work with us, reach out to us at growth-generators.com, or if you'd like to just get some free resources that can help your MSP grow, growth-generators.com/resources. So let's talk about a SQL, a sales qualified lead. Now, this is massively different than a MQL, a marketing qualified lead, for a magnitude of reasons. But realistically, the most important thing for you to understand is a SQL, a sales qualified lead, is a lead or company that has shown interest in you. Now, there can be a couple different differentiators or factors that come into play with a SQL, a sales qualified lead, but more importantly, it is the number one thing to keep in mind, that if they have shown genuine interest in potentially working with you and your company, that is a SQL, a sales qualified lead. And that is somebody that should be watched much more closely than just a standard MQL, a marketing qualified lead. And it is really important to know those differences. And the differences matter, but what is or why does an SQL actually matter? A SQL not only is somebody that's shown interest in the company, but there's a lot more to that, right? They have met certain criteria that would make you think, hey, this would be a great person to engage with, right? Us as MSPs, we have to make sure that we are investing our time wisely, whether that's marketing activities, sales activities, or doing the actual tech side of the business, right? Tickets, systems, all of that. So where does this SQL actually fit in? Well, an SQL has expressed interest, but more importantly, they are your almost dream customer. Now, in some cases, they might not be a perfect fit, but they'll be pretty good and you'll be pretty happy to work with them. But there's some key factors that you have to know. One, they fit the size of the business that you're looking for. Now, every MSP that's watching this has some kind of variance in business size that they would like to work with. Some of those businesses might be sub 20 employees. Some of those businesses might be 10 to 50 employees. Some of them might be 20 to 100 employees. And realistically, and those are just random numbers I threw out, but realistically, you should have a pretty good idea of the size of customer that you would genuinely like for that. Now, you also have to keep in mind a SQL, a sales qualified lead, also meets a couple criteria for you in the business. One, if you were to meet with them, could you actually close them? I know that sounds kind of crazy, because yes, you still have to go through a discovery call, but could you actually go in? Do you have the ability to go into that meeting, do a discovery, understand their environment, and say, hey, yes, we would like to do business with you? If you don't believe that that person's a good fit, you have to make sure that you can figure that out. Whether it's you or your sales team, you have to make sure that you look at that company and say, yes, we could deliver on that, or no, we could not. Because if you can't, you might have to pass them off. And that's okay. You can 100% pass them off. But if they're not at the size that you're looking for, you know, based on the research you've done, whether that's looking on LinkedIn, Google, trying to find more information about the website, you're going to have to let them move along. But so you have to make sure that they are the right size, they are the right industry for you, and that you realistically could close them. Now, the last part of this, and I'm going to give you some pretty secret sauce, so you better hit that like button, subscribe button, and that notification bell. But out of all of those things, They have to actually show some kind of interest in you and your business. And this is where we go from black to white, and we're hitting a little bit of a gray area because you have your MQLs, your marketing qualified leads, that are going to be coming into your ecosystem and learning and getting the resources and beginning to build trust and like your company. Good. Then they go into this SQL and they progress through until you hit a actual booked meeting, right? And even through that, they will still be in SQL until they either become a client or they no longer or they're not a client, right? But they're in this kind of gray area where they're still learning, they're still understanding you and your business. And you might even start to send specific marketing messages to them to help move that needle just a little bit further to having them become a customer. And that's truly what makes a SQL an SQL, a sales qualified lead, is they've actually shown interest in what you do. And it doesn't have to be they saw a post online, they saw a YouTube video. It doesn't have to be any of that. Believe it or not, it could just happen during a conversation that you're having. They might just zip right through that MQL phase, and they might even skip the marketing qualified lead phase and go directly into sales qualified lead. There has to also be a need for your service. If they genuinely don't need your service, well, guess what? They're not going to be a customer. So there's no point in trying to sell them, right? They have to actually show an interest in you, your business, and be able to potentially adopt you in the next handful of months. Now, I'm not talking maybe 6 months down the road, might be too long for some of you. And for others, it just might mean going into your CRM, customer relationship manager, and marking it saying, hey, I need to follow up in that many months because it's really important. Now, you've made it pretty far in this video, and that's great. How do we identify a SQL in this MSP industry that we are all in? And the real key to this actually isn't anything I've mentioned in this video. I know. I didn't lie to you, I promise that. But what's actually really interesting about this is we have to do potentially several things. But one of those things, no matter what they are, whether that's emails, marketing, or anything like that, we have to make sure we ask great questions. Because without really good questioning, without fully understanding the entire process, or at least understanding the client, the needs, where they're at with technology, how they view technology. Is it an asset? Is it a liability? Do they not really care? All of these are truly, truly important when it comes to figuring out if they are actually a SQL for your business. Because if they are, great. But if they're not, it's time to either move on or put them back in the marketing pool and revisit them at a later date. Now, if you've made it this far, let's get into the real meat and potatoes, the absolute nuggets, because we all know that nuggets are at the end of the video. Where do we actually go find SQLs? Because in many cases, we can find them not exactly where you might be thinking, which is hopefully the CRM, your customer relationship manager. As you guys know, I love Go High Level. Some of you guys might prefer HubSpot, Zoho, which I can't believe I just said. I'm just kidding, Zoho. You guys actually have a pretty decent product, but there's Salesforce. There's so many other options out there through this that you can use as your CRM. Your CRM should be a gold mine for SQL, sales qualified leads. And you're going to have to do a little homework to find them. They're not abundant everywhere. You have to go and do the work to actually go find them. That's realistically where they should be in the first place that you should be actually going and looking for them. Next is going to be inbound strategies, right? You can run ads, and this is kind of back in that gray area where there could be an MQL, but they also could be an SQL, and it depends on where they're at in their business, if they're ready to make a transition, if they're in the research phase, right? All of these different areas and aspects come into play on whether or not they are an SQL, because an MQL, they're not ready to buy it, and that's okay. They're going to swim around in the MQL pool, but we want to look and figure out of those MQLs, which ones are SQLs, and you can use inbound strategies ads, anything like that to try to expedite that process. Now, there's also Outbound. There is a program, you guys may or may not have heard of it. It's called LinkedIn. It is a gold mine for looking up information. But there's not just that. You can use LinkedIn, you can use Google, you can use plenty of basically outbound strategies to go out there, right? Trade shows, getting referrals are your outbound strategies to ultimately get and find SQLs that you can bring into your environment, basically skipping that marketing phase out there, which is really important. Next is going to be social media. And social media can kind of fall in both because you can do outbound strategies, almost marketing, but you could also do inbound strategies where we're going out and reaching out to specific people on LinkedIn. But the most important thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is you may already have SQLs, and those come in the form of your existing customers. I cannot tell you how many MSPs, how many of you guys I speak to on a regular basis that are terrified to upsell your current clients. And if you think they're not going to buy, one, that is a absolute mental roadblock that you need to get over. But two, people are typically happy to spend money if the value associated with that money is greater than or equal to what they are spending. And that is the key. You have to learn how to sell MSP services in order to upsell your current clients. Because if you just say, hey, give me $500 more a month or $6,000 a year, the customer is going to say, oh my God, no, why? And it is your job to add value to that conversation to make them interested in spending the additional revenue with you. That's going to be the biggest difference. But I cannot tell you how many of you guys are swimming in pools of gold that you just have to figure out how to go and sell more value to them in order to make them happier and going through that process. So those are your nuggets of gold. I hope you guys have gotten some value out of this. It might not be the sexiest or most entertaining video I've made. Same thing with MQLs, and I'm going to do a comparison video between the two. But the real difference between this is the ones that really want to grow their MSPs, they're watching this video because while it's not that sexy, it is wildly important, especially as you do more and more MSP sales. So hope you guys found some value in this video. If you did, please leave a comment down below. If you're the first person to comment, you're a real one. I appreciate it. I love you guys as always. I hope you guys are enjoying the views of my 70s apartment that somehow I got stuck in while I'm here in Alabama. But it's been a hell of a journey, and I'm excited to take you guys along with me. Love you guys. I'll see you guys in the next one.